Don't forget to like and subscribe. It is 10 o'clock on a Friday night when Dr. Alan West makes his final rounds at Crestwood Medical Center in Charleston, South Carolina. As the head of the hospital's critical care unit, West has spent the last 10 hours tending to patients in need of urgent medical attention. His shift is almost over, and soon he will be on his way home, leaving the overnight team to handle the next several hours of care. Among his patients is Eleanor Bryant, a 76-year-old retired librarian admitted earlier that evening with chest pain and irregular heart rhythms. After being stabilized with medication and fluids, Eleanor is resting comfortably in her hospital bed, unaware of the danger that lurks just beyond her door. At approximately 12:30 a.m., Drive West orders an intravenous saline drip to ensure she remains hydrated. Eleanor Bryant is found unresponsive an hour later. The duty nurse, alarmed by the sudden change in her condition, immediately signals a code blue, an emergency response indicating cardiac or respiratory arrest. Drive West, who had just left the building, is called back urgently. He arrives in under 20 minutes, but by then, the efforts to resuscitate Eleanor have failed. She is pronounced dead at 1:15 a.m. The staff is troubled. This is not the first unexpected death in the critical care unit. Over the past several weeks, a pattern has emerged. Multiple patients who had been stable suddenly pass away under mysterious circumstances. Something is not right. The tension in the unit escalates further when, during a routine inventory check, a nurse notices that a package of amiodarone, a medication used to regulate heartbeats, has gone missing. The drug, when used properly, can save lives, but in excessive doses, it can cause fatal cardiac arrest. The discovery raises a red flag. The missing medication, coupled with the string of unexplained deaths, leads hospital administrators to alert the authorities. Dr. Rebecca Langford, the chief medical examiner for the state, is called in to investigate. Langford is an expert in forensic pathology, with years of experience uncovering hidden causes of death. She begins by reviewing the recent fatalities, looking for patterns in patient histories, medication usage, and hospital staff interactions. A troubling connection soon emerges. Several of the deceased patients have been under the care of a single nurse's aide, Tyrell Mason. Mason, a 22-year-old hospital worker with an unremarkable employment record, had often been present when patients suddenly deteriorated. No one had ever witnessed him doing anything improper, but his frequent proximity to the victims could not be ignored. As the medical examiner's office delves deeper, they face a major challenge. Proving that the patients had been poisoned, many of the deceased had already been buried, and those who were recently deceased had undergone routine autopsies without suspicion of foul play. The investigation takes a meticulous turn, requiring advanced toxicology testing to detect traces of amiodarone in the victim's systems. The process is arduous, but after weeks of analysis, the results confirm the worst fears. Several of the deaths were caused by lethal overdoses of the drug. With scientific proof in hand, investigators work to build a case. The hospital security footage is reviewed, revealing that Mason had entered Eleanor Bryant's room around the time she would have received the fatal dose. Additionally, interviews with staff members highlight discrepancies in Mason's accounts of his whereabouts during critical moments. Despite the mounting evidence, Mason remains silent, refusing to answer questions about his involvement. Prosecutors believe they have a clear picture of what happened. In the quiet of the night, when the hospital corridors were dimly lit and most staff members were preoccupied, Mason had likely taken the stolen amiodarone, filled a syringe, and entered Eleanor's room undetected. He had injected the drug into her foreline, then disabled the cardiac monitor alarm, ensuring that no immediate alerts would sound. Within minutes, Eleanor's heart would have succumbed to the overdose, leading to an irreversible cardiac arrest. Once she stopped breathing, Mason likely called for help, feigning shock at her condition to avoid suspicion. The question that remains unanswered is why. What would drive a young man with no known history of violence to commit such acts? Some experts theorize that Mason was obsessed with the adrenaline rush of emergency situations. The chaos of a code blue, the flurry of doctors and nurses rushing to save a life, was intoxicating to him. By creating crises, he inserted himself into the heart of the action, relishing the sense of importance it gave him. Others believe he may have sought attention or approval, attempting to position himself as a hero by being the first to respond to a crisis he had secretly orchestrated. Ultimately, Mason is arrested and charged with multiple counts of murder. In court, the prosecution presents the overwhelming toxicology evidence, the suspicious pattern of deaths, and Mason's undeniable presence at the scenes of the crimes. Despite his continued silence, the jury finds him guilty. He is sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. For the families of the victims, the conviction provides some measure of closure, but the trauma lingers. The case serves as a chilling reminder that sometimes danger comes not from illness or accident, but from those entrusted to heal and protect. Without the diligence of the nurses, the advanced forensic science used to uncover the truth, and the relentless pursuit of justice by investigators, Mason might have continued his deadly spree unnoticed. The hospital, shaken by the revelations, implements stricter controls over medication access and increases surveillance in patient care areas. Staff members undergo additional training to recognize warning signs of medical tampering. The medical community as a whole learns an invaluable lesson. Vigilance is necessary, even in places meant to provide safety and healing. As for Mason, he remains behind bars, his true motives never fully explained. Whether driven by thrill-seeking, a desire for control, or something more sinister, his actions left an indelible mark on Crestwood Medical Center and on the lives of those who will never return home.